on the back porch with Night Danger, I've had another epiphany about mystery design in RPGs. I've complained already that mystery games are married to the railroad. They just can't let go of the idea that you're supposed to basically play out the sequence of events that would make up a mystery novel or movie or whatever. And so all the advice and game design is built around making sure that the players go from point A to point B to point C to the conclusion reasonably well. And they talk about ways to keep your players on track or moving clues around to make sure they get all the information they need. And of course, I've already complained, this is railroading. But not only is the mystery married to the railroad, the mystery is married to an ending, a conclusion, a stopping point. When people write mystery games, it seems to me that they are not intended for sustained campaign play. Ongoing, whatever. It's like, oh, this will be 2-3 sessions. And so you make characters for this module or this adventure, and you play through it, and then you move on. You do another adventure, you roll new characters. I'm averse to this sort of design, because it has been my experience that it takes a couple sessions, sometimes up to 6 sessions, to even get a feel for what a character is like and how you want to play them. You got to kind of ease into it and get familiar with the stakes, the world, the NPCs, and your motivations in that world before you can even really begin to enjoy some of the best parts about role-playing games. It's not just silly voices and exciting dice rolls, but that is part of it. But if a mystery game is always intended to be short-lived and come to a definite conclusion, you never really get to know your investigator as well as you would be able to in something like a long-going D&D campaign, where it's from one adventure to the next, and the character develops and you learn more about them. So how do you get investigation as the main activity of the players, which for my interest is police, is doing cop fiction? How do you get that drawn out and sustained? And the answer is, I think, in part, to stop thinking in terms of endings. Stop thinking in terms of conclusions. I made an offhand tweet the other night that I think the Vice Desk is better fit for an RPG than Homicide, because there's only so many ways you can make a murder interesting, and if the players are always doing the same types of activities over and over again, it'll get stale. And frankly, all the stuff that makes murder mystery exciting, I think it draws back on the dynamism and flexibility of play that, say, a Vice Desk or an FBI investigation into the mob would be. Because there might be a detective or an FBI agent who spends his entire life, his entire working career, slowly unraveling and working uphill against some element of the criminal underworld. And he makes gains, he makes losses, but it just keeps going. It's not like a murder where the murder is solved, on to the next one, and it's like tight in chapters. There's a murder, you solve it. There's another murder, you solve it. Compared to, this guy is peddling narcotics, and so we do a raid on him, we interrogate him, and he points us to a supplier who points us to another problem, and they're connected to political corruption. Like, you can kind of bounce back and forth between different activities, whether that's raids, interrogations, crime scene investigations. You can do all the different interesting things, But unlike a homicide desk, which would be segmented into individual cases, you get this constantly evolving and moving investigation or effort of investigation that will allow for factions to come up, for external forces and problems from corrupt politicians or bureaucrats, and like it never ends. The fight against organized crime is never at a satisfying conclusion. There's always new problems, and if you remove one guy, you make room for another guy. So why is it that investigation RPGs are so fixated on murder? And it's because most cop and investigation fiction is focused on murder. Procedural police shows are focused on murder, I think for the very reason that it's ill-suited for an RPG. In a procedural TV show, you want each episode to be basically self-contained, have a beginning, middle, and end, and a happy closing. And that way, if somebody drops in or catches it or misses a couple episodes, they're not really missing out on it. Oh. Wind just blew over my butane torch there. Bear with me. Where was I? Lost my train of thought. Yes. Procedural cop shows are intended to be episodic and tight with no real continuity between them. And I think that makes for poor RPG play. The continuity and the constantly evolving situation is what makes long-running RPG games satisfying. And so, as I move towards crime fiction, nirvana, enlightenment, I think not only must I jettison the railroad, which has been a cornerstone of mystery RPG design since day one and still is for basically every major mystery game on the market today. I must escape the railroad, but I also must not fall into the trap of episodic investigation. Things should not tie off neatly at the end of each session. There should always be new complications and variables that can spin out into problems. And the possibility of faction play and strict calendar keeping to keep this all manageable from a bookkeeping perspective is possible. But yeah, this is the next step. First, we ditch the railroad. Then, we ditch the episodic structure. We've come to a nice conclusion. That should never happen. There should never be a nice conclusion. Yeah. I'm going to start repeating myself. I probably have already repeated myself a bit. So I'll just leave that there. And Night Danger. Twice in 1 week. I'm feeling productive. My kids come home on Saturday, so things are going to be... my time will be at a premium once again. But in the meantime, I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you're enjoying your day. Yeah, signing off. Adios.